You're listening to episode number 22 of the Play Your Position podcast.
Welcome to the Play Your Position podcast, where your story matters and we make it count. Here's your host, Mary Lou Kaser. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and boom shakalaka. It is another exciting week here at the Play Your Position podcast, and I am super excited to introduce to you my guest today, Olivia West. Olivia, are you ready for kickoff?
I am ready.
That's right. Let's go. So Olivia West is the president of the West Advisory Group, a financial literacy firm she co-founded with her husband, Norman West, that focuses on helping people go from a place of worry to a place of wealth. She lives with her family in the Rochester area of upstate New York and is a proud mom to 3 amazing kids. Olivia, welcome to the show, and I am just ready to dive right in. The whistle has blown and the game has started, so why don't you share with listeners more about this amazing position that you're playing right now, how it came about, and what you love about playing your position.
Thank you, Mary Lou, for having me on this show. So more about my position during this kickoff is I am also the author of Debt Free at 33. And in that book, my husband and I, we discuss how we managed to pay off over $170,000 worth of debt. So that's all of our credit card debt, our car loans, our personal loans, and we are soon to pay off a house that we built 9 years ago. I'm a mompreneur, and we help other people become financially free by eliminating their debt. Just recently, my husband and I, we launched a Familypreneur brand, Team West Inspires, where my 7 and 9-year-old have come alongside of us, and they actually now own their own business as well. So we are helping them launch their dreams as well.
It is so inspiring to see what you are up to with them and with getting the message out to a very wide audience that financial freedom and being free from debt is not only doable, but it's doable in a fairly short amount of time if you really set your mind to it. And I love the leadership that you are showing people in the work that you do through your advisory group, but also through this. I love that term, familypreneurs. I mean, you guys really are a team together. And if you wouldn't mind, when did you first know or recognize that this familypreneur position evolution, if you will, was really going to be the direction you were going to take your life?
It happened last year. At the time, they were 6 and 8. My boys, they wrote a book, and their book actually talks about some of the principles that we teach in our home. And so whenever we teach people about finances, we also teach them about giving. And so in the book, the boys, they talk about their experience of giving their own money to a homeless gentleman in New York City while we were there for work. And so they talk about the 10-10-80 rule. So I didn't even realize how closely correlated the two businesses were, or the two, their movement, it wasn't aligned with our business. And everyone always asks them, well, how do you guys know about money? How do you guys learn these things? And they always say, well, my parents have taught us these things, as well as this is what they teach their clients and their participants. And so it launched a little bit over a year ago when the boys started their own little business, and it's going to be big business sooner than later. And it's really taken off. It's just really great to be able to work alongside of your family and your children and see them develop. And it's I'm just enjoying the journey, in all honesty.
Your kids are watching what you're doing as entrepreneurs. They're watching what you're doing with money. They're listening to the way you talk about money, and they picked up on some of those skills that people who are 3, 4, 5 times their age haven't even mastered yet. And so to me, that is not only inspiring, but just, I think, speaks volumes to the direction you can go as a family. If you set your mind to it, if you teach those principles, and if you make it a goal that, hey, we're in this together, and mom and dad have a business, but why not? Why not have your kids, if they're so inclined, take their idea and run with it? And your boys have certainly done that. And who would you say, Olivia, has been an instrumental coach or mentor for you and influenced you to play your position as a financial literacy coach or a businesswoman? What or who really inspired you to land in this place?
I would say the person that I can say besides the Lord, who has really directed our paths and really inspired us, is Dave Ramsey. And Dave Ramsey, he was one of the first people we encountered that actually helped us get out of debt. We've never met Dave personally, by the way. We speak of Dave as if he's a cousin or a brother. We've never met him, but his work has just spoken volumes to our lives and lives all around this country. And so we have really used his organization as a model as to how to serve and how to play on a big level and how to impact lives for generations to come. Because in all honesty, this is not really about us and where we are today. It's really about impacting and changing lives and generations. So I would say Dave Ramsey, but it's also important to surround yourself with like-minded people. I mean, when I met Mary Lou, we were in a mastermind together. And so that is very being a part of mastermind and coming together with like-minded people who want to play on a big level and investing in yourself has really blessed our lives tremendously.
I think that's such a key principle that comes up over and over again, but I don't think any of us can hear it enough. And that principle is you have to invest in yourself. And Dave Ramsey teaches that in his own way. I'm familiar with his Financial Peace University and the work that he's done to turn his life around when he was facing mountains of debt and bankruptcy and everything. And he's definitely a role model to many. So I think that's terrific that you and Norman were able to take his lessons and apply them to your own lives and then form a business and a brand that's truly your own. And if we don't seek out the help of other people and we don't surround ourselves with people who are playing at our position or even above, we're just going to stay stuck and continue that cycle of, in your case, spend and borrow, or borrow and spend. And that just becomes a hamster wheel that is very hard to get off of until you make that decision to step out and do something different, which is what you and Norman teach and your boys. So I think that's terrific. So Olivia, you know as well as I do that in a football game, there is a big part of that game where the team that's trying to score a touchdown has got to move the ball into the end zone. And in order to do that, they've got to move the chains down the field. And I would like you to share about a time in your journey when you have found yourself playing out of position during that time. You've been trying to get the ball into the end zone, but maybe you got intercepted or you were sacked or maybe even fumbled the ball and things didn't work out as planned. What caused this to happen and how did you recover?
The one thing about life in general, and throughout this conversation, I will love to cover the R's that have helped us. I mean, the first one we already talked about, relationships, but the second R would be relentless and have there must be a way out attitude. There has been times, and my husband and I, we just recently in the last couple of years started investing in ourselves. And that was after we wasted a lot of money in our business. And the way we run our business is the way that we run our lives. So we try not to get in over our heads, or we must have a way to pay for it or secure in a contract or something to that effect, and so that we can pay for the things that we are purchasing, whether it's for the business or if it's a training. And so long story short, we had paid for this advertisement company a couple years ago, and they were going to be these marketing geniuses and they were going to do all this great stuff for us. And unfortunately, we paid all this money and we didn't get a return on our investment. And it wasn't because of them. It was more because we didn't have a plan going into it. We we fumbled the ball, if you will. We thought we were going in the right direction. And unfortunately, that was not the direction in which our business should have been going in. So we paid a lot of money. And then, once your bank account is low, you're feeling kind of bad for yourself. But we had to pick ourselves up from the bootstraps, and we had to. There must be a better way. There must be a way out. There must be a way for us to utilize currently what we have in order to grow our business. And so sometimes you just have to change directions. And that was one of the things that we learned on our journey. And this third R would be resourcefulness. Being resourceful, it plays a big role in our business, because like I said, we don't want to be in over our heads or in debt or anything like that. So being resourceful, looking for ways to barter, or looking for opportunities that are out there in which you can leverage your expertise, as well as getting the things that you need to help grow your business. And so even we do that in our business still. Our bookkeeper, she struggles with her finances, and so we're her coach. So we kind of barter services, if you will, and she logs our receipts and our mileage and all that stuff that we don't want to do. So just being resourceful, I would say, has really been a game changer for us, and being relentless. There must be a way out. There must be a better way to do it so that you can actually start to make the kind of money you will like.
I love that mantra. There must be a way out. I think that is so powerful, because when you're faced with a fumble, or even just a loss, like a significant loss of funds, like you explained you guys had when you invested in an opportunity that you thought was really going to be the answer, and it turned out to be completely wrong, and not because of their fault, but because, again, very honestly, you admitted we really didn't have a plan. And I don't know of any winning team that just shows up to the stadium and says, well, let's see what happens today. You've got to sit down. You got to sit down and really think about, what is it that we want to accomplish. You need to study your opponent, or you need to study your market. You need to know what direction you are headed. And those 3 R's, Olivia, that you shared are also very powerful. And I think we'll probably come back to those a little bit later, because I want listeners to hear them again and apply them in a different way. But before we do that, the world, as you know, has changed so quickly in the last few years. The rules seem to be different. The game is the same, but the rules are different. What specific shifts or changes have challenged or even inspired you in the last few years? And tell us more about what those are specifically.
Well, some of the changes that I noticed that has really helped us propel to that next level is being around people who, like I said, are like-minded, and joining these masterminds has really been a game changer for us. We actually had a really great opportunity that was presented to us, my boys, last week, and we kind of tracked that whole how did that happen? And it all started back in Atlanta in 2012, when I went to a workshop. And as a result of that workshop, I met my coach that we currently coach with. And then as a result of working with her, I met another young lady that was in the mastermind who hosted an event last week. And as a result of being at that event, this opportunity was presented to us. So I think a real game changer for us has really been surrounding yourself with people who want to grow. And sometimes you have to go outside your comfort zone in order to grow. So we always say, go to grow. Around here, we have to go to grow, and sometimes that means you get on a flight going somewhere where you don't really know how this is going to work out, but you have to be willing to take those chances and those relationships. And I heard a saying recently that you are most like the 5 people that you hang around the most. So those people that you text the most, those people that you talk to on the phone the most, maybe it's your Facebook friends or whoever you hang out with the most, those are probably the people that you are most like. So maybe you can look at their financial makeup, and you're probably very close to that. Their physical makeup, or the way their eating habits or health habits. If you hang around 5 people that go to the gym often and eat healthy, you probably eat healthy and go to the gym as well. So Steve Harvey always says, if you have 9 broke friends, you're probably going to become the 10th one.
I love Steve Harvey.
Yeah, he said, if you have 9 broke friends, you're probably going to be become the 10th one. So you just have to be careful who you surround yourself around. And we have really been very conscious of who we have been putting ourselves in front of. And it's really paid off big time for us. So we're really grateful for that.
Go to grow. That is the message right there. If you want to take your life in a new direction, you're going to have to go to grow, because it's not going to happen sitting in front of your computer. It's not going to happen sitting at home waiting for the doorbell to ring with that magical wand that's going to suddenly make your life your dream life. You have to take action. And Olivia, you just described one of the key pieces to doing business today, which is get on an airplane and fly to the place where the people you want to be most like are hanging out. And thank you for sharing that Steve Harvey quote, by the way. That is just so true. Plus the Jim Rohn sentiment, which is you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And it's so, so powerful. And it's so true. And I think those 2 ideas right there are right at the edge of taking the ball into the end zone for a touchdown. So let's do that. Let's take that ball of Olivia West's life into the end zone for a touchdown. So, Olivia, you are in the red zone and there are less than 30 seconds left on the clock. You are down by 4 points. It's 3rd down and it's now or never. Tell us a story about a time when you overcame this obstacle and ran the ball into the end zone for that game-winning touchdown.
That game-winning touchdown. And so, when I think about this game-winning touchdown, it just recently happened. I mean, there were a lot of obstacles that came up against our family and this is the thing for the listeners that are listening and for your audience. The one thing to remember is about being resilient. I would say that would be my 4th R, about being resilient. And you have to start to look at life as things are not happening to you, but they are happening for you. I'm going to say that again. When bad things happen or obstacles come up, you have to remember and get yourself in the mindset of things are not happening to me, but they are happening for me. And when you start to shift your mind and when those obstacles start to come up, you remind yourself of this, like, this is going to work out for my good. This is going to work out for my good. I mean, before this opportunity presented itself for my boys who actually got an angel investor invested in their business last week, there were so many things that were preventing us from getting to Las Vegas. And so if we had allowed those things to overcome us, we would never got the breakthrough. And so, everything between plane tickets and all kinds of craziness back here in New York and things that just kept coming up against us. But once we got there, it was okay. And once we got there, my boys had an amazing opportunity presented to them. But so you have to be resilient. You have to, I believe it's Les Brown who says a setback is a setup for a comeback. So if you get set back, just realize something greater is going to happen for you. And so I would say that touchdown moment really occurred last week and is very recent. And we're still kind of in disbelief that has happened. But the fact that my boys' business is going to now not be just a national brand, it's going to grow to a global presence, is really made our family really excited. And it's really has been a game changer. And I would say that would be Team West's touchdown.
I would agree, since I was in the audience and got to witness not just the game-winning touchdown, but you won the Super Bowl and you are now the champion. And if I can elaborate, what happened is your boys were able to get up on stage and participate in like a Shark Tank with a multi-billionaire investor who listened to their pitch, and your boys were so poised and so confident about their numbers and why they're doing what they're doing, and were able to really tip the scale in their favor. So the offer was placed and they're doing a deal. And I know you guys are going to go to Dubai at some point in the near future to explore what this is going to mean. So congratulations to you and your family, Olivia. That was a very exciting moment.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mary Lou.
So what are 1 to 3 key offensive strategies that you could share with us today that are straight out of the Olivia West playbook that listeners could implement right away to move the ball down the field and into the end zone of their businesses or lives?
Take full responsibility of your life. You are the CEO of you. And so be responsible, whether that's with your money, with your time, with your resources. be responsible, because I think so many times, like I knew I grew up in a home where we used to shift blame all the time. Well, it was my brother's fault, and then it was the dog's fault that we didn't even have. It was always someone's fault, but when you start to stop making excuses and you pull yourself up and you say, you know what, I fully accept responsibility, whether it's good or bad. So we always want to accept responsibility when it's good, but when it's bad, we don't want to accept responsibility. So I would say, be responsible and start to look at your life as I am the CEO of me. And so as the CEO of me, I have to be careful with my time. I have to be careful with my money. I have to be careful with my resources. And I need to be careful about the relationships and fostering those friendships and not forgetting, where you came from and, being around those people who helped you get there. And so, because so many times we get so busy and we don't have time for family. But at the end of the day, that's what's really going to matter the most, those family and those friends who have been with you all along the way. So I would say be responsible would be my offensive play, that straight out of my playbook. That's one thing that I've learned along this journey, is that I need to be responsible. And that's ultimately the way we paid off that $170,000 worth of debt. It feels so good to wake up and not have a car payment and not to have student loans. It feels really good. And so I would like to empower all your listeners that they too can be debt free like me.
Love that. Love your enthusiasm for possibility. And it's so true. We are the CEOs of our lives. We are the people that control our thoughts, our decisions, what we do each day, who we hang around. And I'm just feeling so great that you shared your story, your offensive strategies, what's worked for you. So you are now staring down the next amazing chapter of your business, of your life. And for people listening today, as you know, you can find Olivia's story and the things that she has shared over on the show notes page at maryloukaser.com/Olivia. So you want to make sure you check that out. And before we end today, Olivia, what is the best way for people to connect with you online?
They can connect with me online. They can go to Team West, as in the direction, WEST, inspires.com, or they can find us on social media at West Advisory Group. And so there we would love to hear your comments, any questions that you may have about your own personal finances or your own journey. We would love to be able to assist you. So look us up on Facebook or on www.teamwestinspires.com.
Love it. And you definitely want to connect with Olivia and her incredible Familypreneur family, that they are on the rise. They are doing some amazing things and really leading the pack in financial literacy, in reading literacy, in entrepreneurship in the 21st century, as we redefine what it means to be a family, what it means to build a business, and what it means to serve an audience that really needs leadership. You cannot find a better example than Team West. So Olivia, I want to thank you for your time today, for sharing your stories, your journey, and all the wisdom that you imparted with the Play Your Position team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mary Lou, for having me.
Hey team, thanks for joining me for another episode of the Play Your Position podcast, the place where stories matter and we make yours count. Make sure to subscribe to the show in iTunes if you haven't become a subscriber already, so you never miss another episode. Question: are you on our email list? If not, you're missing out on your chance to win a $25 Amazon gift card every third Thursday of the month when we give one away to a lucky subscriber. Would your month be a little better with a $25 gift card to use on Amazon? Go now to maryloukaser.com/subscribe to find out more. Again, that's maryloukaser.com/subscribe.
Thanks for listening to the Play Your Position podcast, where your story matters and we make it count at maryloukaser.com.